Good morning. I am here to talk about grief and loss with humor and grace and Deb, and I am waiting for Deb to come online. She's just tagged me in a post. Here with us so we can talk about all things grief and loss. I'm going to tag her on here so that she can join us. I hope that you are going to invite a few friends of your own so that they can share this amongst themselves and be part of this process with us. We really enjoy being able to talk about all the grief, all the loss. Deb has got such a great sense of humor. We've posted some things this week on the site about humorists and some programs coming up and some resources, and we'll continue to do that. If you have any you'd like us to add, we'd be happy to. We are the place where we like to talk about grief. Let me bring the camera up a little closer and see if we've got Deb coming on anytime soon. She should be coming on momentarily. I hope your week has been good. I hope that you are having have plans for at least a positive weekend.
Good morning. It is time for...
There's last week's. And I hope you're ready to at least have a little downtime as we're getting ready for yet another week coming up. Because it does seem like the weeks and the weekends run together, doesn't it? Just all kinds of, it comes, it goes, it comes back again. We're reaching out to Deb to see if she'll come find us. So in terms of what it's been like here in California this week, with all the stuff going on, we have had nonstop increases in COVID, and we have had nonstop news about COVID, none of which is really totally healthy for any of us, right? Because it seems like that's all we hear about. And then we turn on the news, of course, which we probably shouldn't be doing. I hope you're not. I hope that you are giving yourself that grace of not being part of all of it all the time right now. We are spending our time here at our house not going out for the most part and trying to be supportive of those who are just reaching exhaustion with this and are so tired of being in and hearing no news. And now we've got school news coming out, and I just spent an hour with a child who's just wishing she could be in regular classes this year. And I've heard that all week. So there's a big loss there for kids. So we'd like to, make sure that we can support you as you're supporting your kids as they're dealing with this too. Deb is actually here in California right now. And she's here with a loved one who is on hospice. So she's having her own moments this week of being able to say goodbye in a way that works for her with someone she loves. And boy, if I had to say goodbye to someone, I'd like it to be Deb, who is the one helping, because she certainly has a touch for that. Deb says she's trying to find us. So I have tagged her in, and I hope she finds us at some point. If you have things you would like us to talk about today, we'd love to have you. There's Deb. Add her in. Good job. Adding Deb. I see you're watching us. It says you're adding in, Deb. Not sure what the delay is. We must be having some issues with internet. We've had that around here this week. Although mine seems to be running.
I should be here.
It is.
There I am. Hi there.
Hi there, and you're in San Diego?
No, tomorrow we leave for San Diego. When I talked to you last week, I'm like, oh, what day am I leaving? So it is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I was listening to you. Gosh, the kids. Well, first I have to compliment you on your scarf.
Oh, thank you.
That is gorgeous. Yeah, I'm just like a fan of the scarves of many colors.
Me too. And it was on a 50%
Yeah.
off plus 20% off sale, so
The best. So I was listening to you. I mean, can you talk more about the kids, how they must feel so conflicted, and then dealing with their parents' stuff because they're feeling the feels?
Yeah, the parents are wishing they could get their kids back on campus. And I'm not hearing it so much about work. It's just they want their kids to feel like it's normal again. And the parents with kids who have lots of attentional issues are super stressed that they're not going to be able to keep kiddos in front of computers all day long. And we know it's not good for them to be in front of computers all day long anyway. And then parents are stressed because they're hearing that their high schoolers are going to have 3 hours of instruction a day, and they would have 6 hours if they were on a campus. And it's a whole lot of pressure. But for the kids, they're losing their friend time. They're losing sports. They're losing first year of junior high, first year of high school, last year of high school, first year of college. Kindergartners who are starting from home instead of having that first goodbye with their parents. And I think those parents are stressed because that's going to make first grade goodbyes even harder.
Yes.
Because they're not doing the transition at 5, they're going to be doing it at maybe 6 or 6.5. I mean, it's hard to tell anymore how long we're going to be doing this, right?
Right. The unknown, just unknown of anything, is stress producing and grief producing.
It is.
Because there's unknown is change, and then there's I don't know what the change is, but I feel ucky about change. It doesn't matter what that is. But I maybe because my brother homeschooled kids till high school.
Mm-hmm.
And another friend homeschooled her daughter till 5th grade. So I just want to give a plot. While it's infinitely harder for those that have to go to work, right? That is infinitely harder. I want to say this about homeschooling, that a lot of the computer work can be done in smaller sessions. So those that have like attention deficit, you can do a little bit here, a little bit there. It could be a reward system. It could be any of those things. 2, your kids are still smart. So they're still going to be as smart. They're not going to get, I'm going to use this term, dumbed down by not being in school or whatever. So I want to say all those things. And there's different catch-up times. While we're all used to a 9-month school, there's nothing wrong with spreading it out. There's lots of schools. And there's lots of times school goes all year.
Yeah.
And everything can be a learning experience. You could be teaching cooking and teaching about measurements and math.
Yeah.
You can be teaching about art with photography by go out and take 5 bird's eye views and 5 worm's eye views of stuff. And as long as you're keeping their minds active, that's great.
There's a program called Find a Grave. I don't know if you know about it.
No, tell me.
You can download it. It's free. And you can put in any name and cemetery or state, and it's got some identifying information. And you can look for the graves of people in anywhere or your family. But they also are constantly looking for volunteers to just go out and take pictures of headstones in local
Oh,
cemeteries, and then you upload them, and then they put them in their database. And it's a cool way to teach kids about history.
yeah. Yeah.
It also
Could you
normalizes,
imagine?
of course, I love.
Oh, well, yeah, me too. And so definitely I would, yeah. Hey kids, let's all get in the wagon and go up, or the Subaru. Let's all get into the Subaru and go taking pictures and rubbings on gravestones is so cool.
Yes.
So yeah. Someone would said we used a core ball. Who is that? Dee Dee wrote something. Can you read that?
Yeah, Dee Dee's
Yeah.
Dee Dee, it's nice to have you. I know you're super busy this week and you just had a big birthday. A core ball, have kids sit on that. That way they have to work on their balance at the same time they're in front of the computer. And it helps them keep them engaged in both processes so they are more able to focus.
What a great idea. Thanks, Dee Dee. Something I'm working out with my bonus daughter and her kids, that she can stay at home, her husband cannot. So they're going to keep the kids at home. And I said, if you want 1 day a week or 2 days a week, they can come here and do their work, and then we can do other activities out in the yard and do all those kinds of things. So if you can help other parents by maybe say sort of quarantining with them in a way, and you can do easier things, with them. Every day can be that birthday party scavenger hunt.
Right.
Like we're going to look for 10 things and name the subject, So there's so many different things. And if people need homeschooling ideas, I hope they've already been on a bazillion websites. And my hope by saying this is that the grief impact is not as hard, but opens up for a little education. And that's what I'm hoping when I say these things, not to minimize the fears and the griefs, but just to do some things like that.
And to find some alternative outlets so they can still connect. Because it really is hard, and it's hard to be careful enough in the quarantining together, because when you've got somebody coming in, you're bringing in everybody that they've been around and they've been around. And that could be a real challenge right now.
Right.
We're a little safer there right now, I think, than we are here. And it's a super challenge, but we got kiddos who are gonna have to find a way to work this through because they just can't go back on campus.
Right. And not only that, my heart goes out to all the people that all the teachers and professors that have to quit their jobs now. How horrible. That they can't work till full benefits.
Yep.
So, and another kind of grief that I'm sure is going on for others, another grief, is the fact that some places have to go to phase 1 again. Where you see, you guys, we've been on a pretty Illinois here. We've been on, numbers have risen, but not out of the realm where we're still okay. But I mean, I don't even know what to say to you guys, except it sucks to be you.
It sucks to be, and there's a lot of the majority of the states are having increases right now, but we're in
Right.
super lockdown around here. And the thing that makes that hard is it's of course causing exhaustion with the whole process and with aren't we done yet? Because we've all become a society worldwide of super fast. You know, we don't have cameras that stay in one position anymore. We have 14 movements in a minute on a big screen. And with that kind of thought process, folks don't do well with being told, no, you got to slow it down and roll it back in. And it's hard. And so there's a whole lot of attacking going on. And it's super hard for folks who've lost someone. That
Oh,
seems
yeah.
increasing because we're having lots more losses right now. But there's still those who are saying this isn't real and it's not that serious and they would have died anyway. And there's all the minimizing of these losses, and the people experiencing the losses are truly feeling like their loved one's death doesn't matter. And that's not fair.
What a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Just to think your loved one, that death is just one of the numbers on the screen. And it's more than that. It's a whole, your life is more than a number. And
it doesn't matter if you had a pre-existing condition, you were going to be alive with that pre-existing condition, and now they're not.
Right.
And we're facing again hospitals that don't let people in. And so again, these are deaths that people can't be there for. And it's really, we're back to the increasing trauma again around here. And in so many other states, it's not anywhere just us.
And, you know, I don't mind saying part of me is angry, because it's one thing if you say, I'm not going to wear a mask, and you stay home. But when you're not going to wear a mask because of whatever political ideology you have, and you go into public, and then granted, it's better news if you lick the door. Did you see that one woman? You know, it's like, ugh, bah. But I'm saying I'm sort of angry because it didn't have to be this way.
No.
People could have warned people in political positions, and people in your community could have set a standard. And so I'm sort of angry, and then I feel bad because I'm like, I want to say you brought this on yourselves, but I know that's not right either. And I'm like a minister and a nurse and a compassionate grieving person. And I feel sort of bad thinking that. So I'm angry. I'm angry that
it's powerlessness.
It is. And so that in itself is that grief, you know? So I'm like, what do you do? What do you do, Jill?
You know, what we're doing is we're talking about it a lot and giving people permission to have the feelings that they're having, and giving them permission not to argue with those who are trying to pick fights about it. Just saying, it hasn't touched you yet. At this point, it's going to at some point, and then you'll feel differently, and I'll be sorry for you when that happens. In the meantime, I just can't be part of this conversation.
Right.
You know, I've got lots of people I'm getting off of social media. I can't be what I do for a living, but I am snoozing people right and left because I just can't listen to it anymore. But, and then when we're feeling like they're being minimized, we talk about how real that loss is, and we talk about what they're going to miss about that person. And add in your questions about what made them laugh and what was fun with them. But what are you going to carry with them? Let's work on your memories, and let's leave the noise behind, because the noise is belong there.
yeah, Dee Dee just wrote disengage the ignorance, and you're right, Dee Dee, that is exactly what I have been. And sometimes I don't even label it. I just go, I just learned a new word dealing with narcissists. It's called gray block. Gray block them or graystone them, something like that. Sorry, I didn't get the word right, but basically it's disengaging. And so I like to disengage with, I want to focus on the higher things. I'm not saying I do all the time because, like I said, I'm going to admit I'm angry, but I won't engage them with my anger.
Right.
I won't. I just won't. I will.
It's a fun way. It's kind of like dealing with a bully. If you don't respond, it's not fun. We're not responding to them. They lose their fun.
It is, and with narcissists, actually, that is exactly the case. When you gray block them, that means you just disengage from their need for drama to add to their stuff. So, yeah.
And you can sit with your loss, and you can do your remembering, and you can share with the others, because there are growing numbers who have had these losses. So instead, you can connect with those people.
Exactly. And there are, I was hoping we could talk about this a little bit, because you had put on the page about what makes a good grief group, an online grief group. Name me a couple things that make a good online grief group or a healthy online grief group.
Number one is a focus not staying in grief, working through grief so you do not have to grieve forever, and identify through your grief and your loss. That's always number one for me.
So say that again. So you're on an online grief group, and Betsy, I don't know who Betsy is. Betsy's lost her husband 8 years ago. And what would be a healthy response from Betsy and what would not?
I have seen Betsy's online who have said, I hate people in this group who come in here and want to feel better. I lost my husband and I'm allowed to feel bad for the rest of my life. And those of you who feel like you are moving on have no compassion and didn't love your loved ones as much as I loved my husband.
So that's unhealthy Betsy.
That's the unhealthy Betsy. I'm identifying as, hi, I'm a widow. I lost my husband. I'm very sad. This has been going on for 8 years. By the way, my name is Betsy. That's the unhealthy side.
Okay. What would a healthy Betsy be saying?
Healthy Betsy would come in and say, I lost my husband and I really want to feel better. Someone show me how you got to the other side. Tell me what worked for you. I feel guilty because I feel good some days. Is that normal? Asking the questions about how do I get from here to there, and people not attacking for that reason.
You just gave some wonderful examples, Jill. I just wanted to get to the heart of the matter, because there's usually a mixture in the groups that I'm part of. I'm part of a hospice group, and sometimes the nurse in me says, okay, you need to go back to the doctor, or I'm not allowed to give you this advice, the advice it seems like you're seeking, because I'll lose my license. So when I do it on public forums, let me qualify that.
Right.
But those that do write in grief groups, when will I get through this? How will I get through this? Asking any sort of question is an invitation for healthy moving forward, while also understanding sometimes you don't move forward for a very long time.
Right. It's your own process. And Dee Dee, you're right. Martyring themselves is a real thing. And
It is.
it's not my favorite population to be with folks who just need to be all about how much they've lost. I'm in a bunch of grief groups online, and there's a widows support group that I'm part of. And someone just yesterday posted a query. It was something like, "How long has it been?" And how young and old were you guys when this happened, and what did they die of? And have you considered a new relationship since then? Which were open-ended questions instead of, I can't believe anybody would want to have a new relationship. And so the conversation has been very civil, and people have shared that they have or they have not, and how little or how long it's been, and some people moved into new relationships quickly and some haven't, but there's no attacking going on. Now, a few months back, someone posted something in there that said something like, "I can't believe all of you who have found new relationships. This group is not for me. None of you loved your spouses enough. I need to find some group that really wants to stay where they can be sad." That's not where I want to be.
Right. And I think any group that you're part of, you want to aim for civility.
Yes.
Not. I understand that sometimes in grief, you lose your filtering a little bit. However, keep your snarky to yourself or other places. It is not meant for a grief group where you want to grow. I see Joanne, someone that that's part of our spiritual community, and questions, and probably as part of a bunch of different grief groups. I won't tell her story, but pretty amazing woman as she's been going through her grief process and things that she's been doing. I have a lot of respect for her. It's been hard to look at grief groups. Sometimes I just troll them a little bit to see. I don't like to respond to all of them because I don't want to keep investing. I need to invest in to fill me up so that I can be with people during the week and my clients and check on them and do this and do that. So yeah, thank you for saying that. That's great examples.
When I'm talking to people and teaching therapists even about doing grief better, one of the things I say is, before you refer someone to an online, any kind of group, you need to hop in there yourself and find out if it's healthy, because they change personality frequently. Yes. And you also need to check, see whether this is going to fit your client, instead of it being the automatic, I always refer to just this one. There are some that are very, very religious in a very particular frame, and that doesn't fit a whole lot of people. And that therapist may not even be aware of it because they just have seen the name and it seems like it's good grief, and so there you go. You have to really check to see where you're sending people, because they do change and they can get ugly sometimes. And you want something.
And I also think that before recommending an online grief group, you have to go with, what is it that I want out of them? Do I just want people to affirm my grief, or do I want to know if I'm within normal limits of grieving? Do I need other help? So I think sort of coaching people before you send them someplace. Say, this is what you need. Like, I'll tell you, when I recommend a therapist, I said, you want two things from your therapist. One, you want to leave with a sense of hope and also relief, and that's real important. And two, I prefer therapists, and I always say my bias, that give homework assignments. And if they don't, you should ask them what you need to work on.
Absolutely.
You know, like, what is it? So that's how I coach people about checking out therapists.
Yeah.
I would do the same with a group.
I do a lot of dementia work, and frequently you'll see people say, well, you should just go to like the so-and-so association, because there are 14 major dementias, and every one of them has an association that's a national or international, and they've got the research. But a lot of those sites don't have the down and dirty. How do you cope at 2 a.m? And so I will put those things up, but then I will also find the groups that are online that have a lot of people in them, so they're always awake, where there are people on there going, I can't believe how hard this is. This just happened. What do I do? And somebody else who's living that will immediately hop in and say, well, I've tried this. Instead of the just standard, well, you just need to talk them down. And, because that doesn't work with dementia. Likewise, with grief, saying,
talking isn't going to work.
Doesn't work either.
Right.
And going to the spa doesn't make it better.
No. It's a very temporary, well, they're all temporary fixes when dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's. And so even accepting that, so you need a plethora of ideas to sort of systematically go through in your head. I know it's already around 12:30-ish, but I just want to put it out to people. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody, several people hopped on my page to see this. I clicked my share right away. And so I want to, does anybody have any questions? I think we covered a couple good topics today. Yeah.
And have you been on Dee Dee's program? Because she's doing some great things right now with various speakers talking about various kinds of losses.
I have not. You've been posting while people might be writing a question or something now. I want to know if what is this thing you've been through, and is that with Dee Dee? Is that the different you've been part of something that's going on like through the month of July. I can't remember what it was, but
put it together. She's like a super mover and shaker, and there she is.
There.
She decided there needed to be some place central where she would have conversations with people who do various kinds of grief and loss, and then put them up so people could slide in and listen to them. And you can hear one of them, or you can hear all of them. You can hear a certain number of them at no cost, or you can get the whole series plus CEs for a fee. I'm on it twice, talking about two different topics. But Dee Dee's got a sense of humor. She's got her own story, had her own losses, and there's those two. She's like me. She's very, very transparent, and she's a tell it like it is, which is, of course, the way I like to be, the way you like to be. And she has a great sense of humor, and she's found people who have senses of humor. So yeah, it's been a fun process, and it generated a lot of conversation. So hoping some of those folks transition over here, since we're always here. Give them a place to come and we're talking.
Well, Dee Dee wrote, "Oh shucks, you make your heart full." So Dee Dee, this is for you. Thank you. And yeah, I've had other things, and that's why I haven't hopped on, but I think I will. I'll hop on. I just have to click on the link, and maybe you can put it in on this page too. And yeah, that's it for me. I don't got nothing else today. Do you got something?
I just want to wish you safe travels for this weekend and
Thank you.
goodbye.
Thank you. And it'll be a hard weekend
Yeah.
and a necessary weekend. And I know because our family knows what I do for a living and what I've done, and that will also give them some comfort.
Yes.
I am going to, I'm going to take a risk here and plug a product.
Please.
One other thing I want to say is that sometimes when you don't know what to do, there are various websites to send things. And I really like Blankygram because someone sent it to me. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
And you can, it's just comforting. They're really soft blankets. And so I sent a blanket that had spiritual words on it. And, because you really don't want to say, oh, get well, So that's what I did. My phone is ringing. I apologize, and I'll hop off and say thank you, and I'll see you next Friday.
Safe travels. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.